It's been quite the Marvel-packed day for me today. I've seen Loki Season 2's finale this morning, which I'm probably going to do a video on as well, but I have just got back from seeing The Marvels, and I wanted to share my thoughts on it, because as with the last Captain Marvel film, there's been some polarising opinions, some for better reasons and some for worse. So I thought I'd just share my standpoint from my totally non-biased perspective, as someone who definitely does not like Captain Marvel very much at all. No, not in the slightest, not in the slightest. Just sharing my completely unbiased opinions. But no, seriously, I was really excited for this film and I wanted to offer my thoughts on it because while I do think it was a good film, it's not the best MCU film I've ever seen, so I thought I'd give my general spoiler-free review to begin with. So for anyone who's not seen the film yet, it is still the day it came out, so I won't spoil the plot until I get to the chapter marker in the video that says spoilers, so you're all sorted there. So overall, out of 10, I would give it about 7.5 at the moment. I really liked the first Captain Marvel film, I think for all of its kind of faults that people say they have with it, mainly Brie Larson's performance. I never have seen the issue with that. I mean, she was literally on the bad guy's side for half the film. That was half the point of it. But I think, from the character perspective, that's what elevates this film to the level that it's at. The performances of Brie Larson, Teyonah Parris, and Iman Vellani are all perfect. You'll see most people saying Iman is the standout, and I don't disagree with that. I think she is absolutely brilliant, and just seeing her bounce off the other characters in the MCU is really cool. I think she is one of the best comic book castings that the Marvel has had, period. I thought that with the Miss Marvel series, and it just stands even further now, having seen her in the Marvels. And they set some stuff up with her for the future that I'm really excited to see pay off, because I think she'll do a great job with it. I think she'll be fantastic. But talking about Brie Larson, if you did think her performance was a bit stiff in the first film, which, as I've said, that was the point. She was meant to be reserved. She didn't know what was going on. But she is much more energetic, much more outgoing and kind of banterous, I suppose, in this film than she was in the first one. And that was one of the biggest step-ups of the character for me. I mean, Captain Marvel is my current favourite living superhero in the MCU. I loved Iron Man, I loved Black Widow, and I loved Captain Marvel. As you can tell, only one of those is left, so I have a bit of an investment in her character in particular. I'm not even particularly sure why. I don't have loads of comic experience with her or anything. I just really liked that film and the kind of the impression they built with the character. And I think Brie Larson did really, really well with it. I think she had the best costume, which was the costume in the first half of the film. There was just a really nice vibe to her performance and her bouncing off Iman. And on top of that, as I've said, Teyonah Parris, she was really, really good with Monica. I mean, we kind of had already seen her. She was a bit more of an established fact. Even though Iman had her own series as Miss Marvel, I kind of expected her to be a bit different, bouncing off Captain Marvel, whereas Teyonah was very much the same Monica with powers. And that's not a bad thing. I think she aced her performance in WandaVision. I don't think it was entirely different. As for the side characters, Kamala's family, I thought were absolutely brilliant. They were kind of dotted throughout the film at different points, and they elevated it every time. They were really funny, bouncing off not just Kamala, but Nick Fury, some scenes with Carol. There was some really good stuff there. The character that I think actually got stiffed, I suppose, is Nick Fury. He feels more like he's in there because it's a Captain Marvel sequel and he was in the first film. He doesn't have an arc in any way. He's just kind of there, and he has a couple of funny lines here and there, which, don't get me wrong, I love Samuel L. Jackson. I'll happily take anything of him I can get, but it was a shame they didn't do more with Nick Fury. But I think part of that comes down to the overall runtime of the film, because this is the shortest MCU film in existence. It clocks in at about an hour and 45 minutes, so it's not going to explore everything it possibly can, because it is more a pit stop thrill, kind of take you through what you need to know and send you off to go shopping or whatever it is you do after you see a film. That's the main vibe of it, and I think as a result, some characters suffered, Nick Fury being one, but also the villain, Dar-Ben. I mean, it is a staple at this point in the MCU for the villains to be the weaker part of the film. You know, people say, you know, if movies are as good as their villains, the MCU would be garbage. Well, I mean, for some films that would be true, and for this one, I think it would be as well, because Dar-Ben, she's played brilliantly by Zoe Ashton. I think she's brilliant, but I don't think as a character she was given really anything to do. She just kind of is there. She has her bad guy thing. She doesn't really get a relatable moment per se. You get to understand a bit of her reasoning, but it's not really a, oh, I get it, I'd back her kind of thing. She's just a bad guy that they have to fight, which, you know, is a typical Marvel thing. And I know some of the negative critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes were saying, oh, it's another typical Marvel affair. And to me, I don't mind that. As long as I enjoy the film, I'm quite happy. But as people have seen before, I'm very easily pleased. So I get that that's not where everyone stands, and that's totally fair. But as villains go, one of the weaker villains I've seen in the MCU, genuinely. Didn't get much time with her, didn't feel like she made much of an impact. And that also speaks to the wider story, because her villain didn't have that much motivation. Like, there's a very general plot as to what's going on, which I won't spoil till I get to the spoiler section, but it's very by the numbers. You're there for the characters and not for the plot, I feel like. And if you're enjoying the characters, which I did, you'll get a good time out of this film. I really do think so. The direction was really good. I really liked the energy between the characters bouncing off each other. The score was good. The visuals are really nice. There was some really cool, bright, colourful scenes in the film. Also, an unexpected singing bit in the middle, which is I need to see that again before I make my mind up on it, because it felt very out of left field, and I was like, why are we suddenly in Frozen? It was strange, but there's a really nice vibe to this film, which kind of came across from the trailers, and I'm glad to see that carried on in the film, because it just looked like it was going to be a bit more vibrant, a bit more energetic, and not quite as muted as Captain Marvel was, because there are some shots where there's like colourful things going on, but they almost feel restricted in their colours, so it's nice that it's kind of a bit more bright, a bit more vibrant, and they really play up that colourful nature, because the characters are very colourful, the film is colourful, the music is colourful, and there's a lot of colour basically going on, and I think it's really, really cool that there's such a kind of a bright palette going on. There's not much else to say about it in general terms. It sets up some very interesting things for the rest of the MCU, but I don't really want to talk about that without getting into the spoiler section, so I think I will pause it there and just say overall, like I said, good film, definitely want to check it out again. I did actually miss the first scene of the film, annoyingly. Got stuck in traffic on the way to the film, and when I got to the cinema, I was like, have I got time to go to the toilet? Is the film on yet? And the guy went, no, you got another 10 minutes. Walked in after going to the toilet for, a minute, 2 minutes, and was already in the film. And as I found out, I missed the whole opening scene, which is very annoying. But either way, for what I've seen of the film, which is most of it, saw it fully in IMAX, great time, really enjoyed it. If you like your Marvel stuff still, if you're like me and you're still having fun out of Phase 4 and Phase 5, you'll get the same kind of thing here. It doesn't do anything that reinvents the wheel, but it's a damn good time, and it's worth checking out, definitely. Alright, so spoilers. Let's give a bit of my thoughts on the kind of actual events of the film and the key things to pull out. So, let's start off with Dar-Benn. Her death was so unceremonious and wasn't even talked about after it happened that it kind of just played to the whole fact that her character didn't really have much to do. It almost felt a bit strange. They were threatening about the bangles and the power it would ripple through her and how it could kill her, blah, blah, blah. Then when it does it, no one really says anything and no one really mentions her again. It's like she was literally just a cookie-cutter villain that as soon as they were done with, they were like, okay, move on, we're done with that. And I felt that, I noticed that, and I was like, ugh, not sure how I feel about that. So again, it just plays to what I said, that she's not one of my favourite villains, and it's, like I said, it's a shame because Zoe Ashton, what she got, she was good with, but she just didn't get enough. The other thing is that the general plot, like I said, is very thin. So to talk about the plot, my thoughts about it overall, the idea is that Captain Marvel went back to Hala, destroyed the Supreme Intelligence, which, by the way, for the comic lovers, very glad to see we saw the actual Supreme Intelligence. I know that was a sticking point in the first film, that we never saw what they really look like they do in the comics, but we do in this film. So she deals with the Supreme Intelligence, and Hala suffers as a result. It starts a Kree civil war because there's no AI ruling over them. Hala gets destroyed pretty much. It's got a drought, it's got no atmosphere, and basically Dar-Benn's trying to bring the atmosphere back to the planet. So she's sucking out the air from one planet, sucking out the water from another, and then she tries to steal the sun from our galaxy to make Hala prosperous again. There isn't anything particularly shocking there. She pops up in one place to do one thing, pops up in one place to do another, pops up in the last place to get the sun from Earth, and then is dead. That's it. That's basically it. I do like the idea that they explored with the jump points, though. The idea that these jump points exist in space that we've seen in Captain Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy, but if there were too many of them, they would cause a problem in time and space. Like, there's a set amount of them for a reason, and, like, adding to them can cause problems in the time-space continuum. Sounds almost Doctor Who-y, really, but I like that they kind of explored that a little bit and the dangers of it, and, of course, the fact that they opened one at the end of the film that Monica had to fix and stay on the other side of it at the end, which I saw coming a mile off. And I do think it was strangely done, because I felt like it should have been more obvious that when Monica said she had to close it, she'd have to be on the other side to patch it. I mean, she could have pulled the piece of the jump point in towards her, fine, but it felt like that didn't get enough time, because she kind of went, I knew I'd have to be on this side. I was like, really? Is Kamala that stupid that she wouldn't say that? No, she's not. She would have pointed it out, and I wouldn't have thought Carol wouldn't have realised it either, so it felt like people were a bit slow on the uptake. I'd kind of seen that coming 5 minutes before everyone else had, so that could have been played a bit better. But where she ended up, I mean, they were marketing this right through the way through the week, going, oh, this is the next step in the MCU, you don't want to miss it, and as the film was getting towards its end, I was like, was that a bait and switch? What's going on? But no, she turns up in the X-Men universe, which was kind of crazy. I actually thought it was a different version of Beast that appears in the mid-credits scene, because I haven't seen any of the X-Men films other than the first one and the Deadpool movies. Sorry. Having the same guy coming back to play Beast that was in those films in this one is really cool. I like that they're, kind of going, it ain't broke, don't fix it. They did it with Charles Xavier, with Patrick Stewart. I keep getting caught on my words. I'm not very good at this, clearly. They know that people liked the X-Men characters played by those particular people and don't really want to screw that up, so hopefully they keep that trend up. That will be interesting. But also the big thing for me, the thing that got me the most excited, I think, was the Young Avengers setup, because that's been something people have been talking about since WandaVision, when we had Billy and Tommy. It's like, oh, are we going to do Young Avengers? There could be Kate Bishop and Miss Marvel and Billy and Tommy, and I was like, yeah, but Billy and Tommy aren't really here anymore, and how's that all going to line up? But seeing Iman play Kamala, as if she was Nick Fury trying to explain to Kate Bishop, who just turned up in the film. That got a grin out of me, because I love Haley Steinfeld's Kate Bishop. I think she's brilliant. Seeing those two interact as the film ending, which almost felt a bit strange for a Captain Marvel sequel, but whatever. That was a great scene. Absolutely loved that. Love what they've set up for the X-Men. It's good to see that we're actually beginning to get a proper push there. And I also really like the visual clues that if you don't know who Beast is, very quickly after you see the X-Men logo door and you go, it's the X-Men, I get it now. So I think that was very well set up. So like I said, the future of the MCU is really, really cool. I like that a lot. Beyond that, like I said, the characters were the biggest part of it, and I think plot-wise, having Carol explain why she didn't go back to Monica, why she didn't want to break this illusion that she was this amazing person, and Monica saying, I didn't need you to be amazing, I just wanted you to be my aunt. I mean, again, it doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it was a nice moment. I'm a little bit sad that the scene that we saw in the trailer, where they're kind of having a confrontation with Rain behind them saying, you're not the only thing between us and the universe, whatever it was Monica said, that seemed like it was going to be quite a cool one-on-one, and that just got pitched. I know there were reshoots and things were changed to fit with the future of the MCU, so I think it's a shame that scene clearly got cut in the process. But I did like the ultimate conclusion to the story and them explaining, that Carol is not just this perfect person. She is a role model to Kamala, but she's also a person, and she's also an aunt to Monica. That's what makes this film good for me. If the characters hadn't hit it off, I'd have come out of the film thinking it was very bland and not really loved it that much, but it was the character-driven stuff that worked the best. I think that was really cool. I'm a little annoyed that the most recent trailer for the Marvels also spoiled Valkyrie's cameo in the film. It was clearly put in there because they're worried about ticket sales, because it's been reported that it's going to pull in less at opening weekend, which, you know what, fine. I think it's probably going to underperform compared to Captain Marvel and some other Marvel films because, some people don't like Captain Marvel, some people are tired of the MCU. There's a whole different range of reasons here, but I think for those of you who do go check it out, it is really a good time. I honestly do think it is that. I don't want to talk about every single thing, because if you are watching this and going, let's listen to some spoilers and thinking you will check it out, I don't want to give you every single plot detail, even in a spoiler talk. All I will say is what they did with Goose and the Flurkins. I'll say that much. I thought it was one of the best bits of the film. I loved that. I really, really did. So overall, those are my thoughts on The Marvels. I thought it was a good film. Out of the 3 MCU films this year, I don't know where I'd rank it. Guardians 3 is definitely the best film of the year, but I also liked Quantumania. Most people didn't, but I for me, Kang carried the film. So I don't know which one I prefer out of the 2. I'm going to have to sit on it more. I think I definitely need to see The Marvels again, because I've watched Quantumania quite a few times this year, and I'll make a more informed decision once I've sat on it a bit longer. But it's a really good film. I had a lot of fun with it. Definitely could have been better in terms of just having better villain motivation and a bit thicker of a plot, maybe a bit more to do for a couple of characters. But all in all, really, really good time. So thank you all very much for watching my spoiler-free and spoiler-full version of my thoughts on The Marvels. I hope you've all enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. And click subscribe if you want to hear me ramble about more random things in the future. But apart from that, thank you all for watching. My name is Troy, and these are my thoughts.